The P40 Experience. The P40, or Carro Armato P26/40, was an Italian heavy tank which saw some service from 1943 to the end of the war. While being classified as a heavy tank by the Italians, it had around the same armor thickness of a Sherman medium tank, with 50mm on the front, 45mm to the side, and 40mm on the rear. As for the turret, it was protected by 50mm on the front mantlet and 45mm all around. The development and overall design of this tank started in 1940 as Benito Mussolini ordered for a new tank that could challenge British Crusader and later American Lend-Lease M3 Stuarts and M3 Lees seen in North Africa, as the main tanks Italy had at the time was obsolete M13/40s and L3 tankettes. Compared to the M13/40s and L3 tankettes, which were armed primarily with 47mm cannons and 20mm autocannons, the P40 would be armed with a capable Anzanso 75mm L34 gun due to learning about Soviet Helix 4 medium tanks after the Germans captured some examples. The P40's 75mm L34 gun could fire three different types of shells, first being an APC-BC shell with 79mm of pen, secondly a H shell with 100mm of pen, and lastly a HE shell with 10mm of pen. By September 1943, only around 21 P40s was ever made, with all examples falling into the hands of the Germans after the Italians capitulated to the Allies that same year. However, the Germans would continue to produce the P40 with around 100 being made, with many given to rear echelon units like the 10th and 15th Police Panzer Company. In warthunder, the P40 is only found in the Italian tech tree and plays more as a medium tank than a heavy tank, being placed at BR 3.3, rank 2, it fights early to mid World War II tanks like American M5A1 Stuarts, M4A1s, M10 GMCs, German Pumbas, Panzer 3Ms, Panzer 3Hs, and lastly some Soviet tanks like T-34s and Su-152s. Some pros of the P40 are, since its hull armor is slow, it can bounce or ricochet low caliber shells. For a medium tank, it has a decently fast reload rate, only taking 6.5 seconds for another shell to be fired. And lastly, it can research a decent heat shell. However, some cons of the P40 are, while having decent hull armor, its turret can be easily pinned by most cannons, its stock shell can be a pain to play at times with only 79mm of pen, and lastly, while the heat shell is powerful, you really need to know where to aim with it. Overall, playing the P40 as a designated heavy tank like its real-life counterpart is not the best. Unlike other heavy tanks you might encounter like KV-1s or French ARL-44s, where both play as great breakthrough tanks, the P40 simply does not have enough armor to do this as well. So try to play the P40 as a medium tank instead. One thing to keep in mind when using the heat shell is to be careful when you fire it, as it only does damage towards the front of the shell and does not explode like an APHE shell. In all, I would give the P40 a solid 6 out of 10.